Okay, so we are at the point where we are going to start working on this final. It is a tough final. I'm not going to lie to you. It's 200 questions. So I'm going to go over some things that you need to know. All your questions were found in your previous quizzes. The real important thing that you got to understand is you only get one chance on this final. You can't go back and retake this, okay? So you get one chance to take this final, 200 points. So first thing you need to understand is the definition of what criminology is and what that's used for. You then need to go into the principles of fairness and the ideal of moral equity, which is basically justice. Um, understand offender sentencing and what like a consecutive sentence, suspended sentence, and delayed sentence means. Um, understand due process and what that procedure means. Understand conscientious model, which basically talks about when we work together harmoniously to achieve the social product we call justice. Um, understand the due process model and the we had a lot of problems with this one in the quizzes. Arraignment and which stage arraignment is. And arraignment is basically a stage that allows the defendant to enter a plea. That would be arraignment. Understand what stage booking falls into. Uh, understand the preliminary hearing and when you use that. Know about grand juries and know that grand juries return the indictment. Understand due process clause in the Constitution, and that's the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. Understand our Sixth Amendment of the Constitution. Know a little bit about that and how it gives a right to a jury trial. Um, understand what an individual rights advocate is, and what rights they protect, what freedoms they protect, such as civil rights and that kind of thing. Understand what the ultimate goal of the criminal justice system is, and that is basically crime control and due process. Understand that understand what robbery is and know the definition of robbery. Know the definition of forcible rape. Know the definition of mass murder. Understand that understand what index crime has the highest clearance rate, and that is murder. Understand that murder has the highest um, clearance rate. No, read up a little bit on the Bureau of Justice Statistics, and know that they're responsible for compiling the NCVS. Let me just take a minute to just tell you two things. First off, living in South Carolina, there is this crazy thing called massive amounts of pollen. And so I walked out to my car today. It was completely yellow from being covered in pollen. So I am completely congested. So sorry about the way I'm talking a little bit. The second thing you need to know, while 200 points is a lot, many of you are doing very, very good in this class. And to be honest with you, you can handle missing 200 points. And you can still pull off a B or an A. This final is very inclusive. It's very tough. I didn't want to make it so inclusive and so tough that it was this huge portion of your grade. I tried to be as fair as I possibly could with it, and so just kind of keep that in your mind, in the back of your mind. I want you to study and learn this, but most of this stuff you've already covered, so you're gonna be good to go. Read up a little bit on the National Crime Victim Survey. I understand this is the basis of the victims report rather than on the police reports. Let's see. An interesting one is that National Crime Victims Survey. It asks the respondents to reveal illegal activity that they have been involved in, and so it's not. And so what that means is not relying solely on police reports. That National Crime Victim Survey also includes information about robbery, but not murder, white-collar crime, and kidnapping. The most frequently reported crime, this is interesting, in the UCR, the Uniform Crime Reports, and NIBRS is larceny or theft. That's very, very believable. No, know what percentage of victims of rape report that assault to the police? Know that percentage. Um, what weapon is most often used to commit murder? It's going to be an easy one for you to figure out and find. Most hate crimes are motivated by what? Know what motivates most hate crimes. Know a little bit about hate crimes. Know about misdemeanors and understand that petty theft, simple assaults, disorderly conducts usually aren't misdemeanors, but when you hit the robbery stage, murder stage, those kinds of things, they are categorized as felonies usually. Oh no. Know the defense of involuntary intoxication and that defense, and know a little bit about that. Know about the self-defense plea. Know about the double jeopardy. Understand what double jeopardy is. Understand witnesses and documentation are supporting factors to an alibi defense. You can't just say I have an alibi. I can say I was at home all night long, but if I don't have witnesses and documentation to support that, then it's not a good defense. So I need those two things for an alibi plea. Understand jurisprudence and the definition of jurisprudence. Know what a statutory law is, and understand that statutory law is considered a law that's quote-unquote on the books, as opposed to a criminal law, and understand the difference between statutory and criminal law. And then throw into their common law, understand the difference between statutory law, criminal law, common law. Know the elements of a crime. There are usually three elements to that crime, so understand the three elements to that crime. Understand the there's a verdict that guilty but mentally ill, and understand that verdict as opposed to not guilty by reason of insanity. Know what mens rea is. Elements of crime, the mens rea, and understand that. Know how many levels of mens rea can be distinguished, and know what a centralized law enforcement agency means. When I say they're a centralized law enforcement agency, what does that mean? Understand, and this is important, especially for those of you going into street level law enforcement, that the patrol is the backbone to police work. Understand that understand the difference between local, state, and federal agencies and who would respond to what, and then throwing district into that. And that district is not a major level of law enforcement. It's not something that's it's just not a major level of law enforcement. Know that the two primary roles within a police agency, which is basically line or staff. You usually have your line officers or your staff officers. Um, Understand what evidence-based policing is and review that section on evidence-based policing. Um, Understand the role of a coroner and who appoints the coroner and who answers to the coroner and his relationship to the sheriff. Understand direct patrol techniques and a team policing approach. Um, Understand the problem-solving approach to policing as opposed to the community policing approach. I think we said team policing approach. Uh, Look into who the nation's largest police agency is. Uh, let's see. Look into the Law Enforcement Assistance Administration and know what year that it was established. Let's see. Know what state created the first state police agency. Let's see here. What percentage in 2001? What percentage of females were law enforcement officers? And I didn't know some statistics about the FBI. When the FBI, how many employees, how many special agents are employed by the FBI? Understand what an interrogation is. Um, Understand the let's see. Understand deadly force and when it can be used to apprehend a suspected felon. Understand the fleeing felon rule. Let's see. Know what the Internal Affairs Unit is and know what they do. Understand understand that when can a police officer be tested for drug abuse, and it's basically a reasonable suspicion um, standard. Know the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine and probable cause, and the Fourth Amendment, which protects us against unreasonable searches and seizures. Understand the plain view doctrine and what that means, and what it means to be able to see something that's in plain view. Let's see. Know the role of the clerk of courts and the local court administrator. Let's see. Know how many district courts there are, and what a district court handles. Know how many regional appeals courts there are in the federal system. Um, know the role of the prosecutor, the bailiff. Read up on direct evidence and the rule of law. Understand revocation and retribution. Know what specific deterrence is and what that seeks out in the conviction of the offenders. Know when an opening statement happens and understand when bail is set, and that's another one that everybody really had trouble with. Was bail is set at the first appearance, not the arraignment, but the first appearance. Um, and let me answer that. So some people were kind of confused by that. Some places the arraignment and the first appearance are happen at the same time, but some places it doesn't. So South Carolina is a good example of that. If I arrest somebody in South Carolina, I have to take that person to a magistrate immediately to have bail set. The state law is they get arrested, they have an opportunity to have bail. That magistrate doesn't care if they're pleading guilty, not guilty, because that magistrate would not hand down a sanction at that point in time. They just need to have that first appearance so they can set bail so that they can get out. After that, they can have the arraignment. Now, some places do arraignment and bail setting at the same time, And a lot of times at the arraignment, you can really get into, bail setting conditions and those kinds of things, because you usually have a chance to get a lawyer by then. But a lot of times, but that first appearance for a lot of places, you don't have a lawyer, so that's why that is. Speedy trial. How many days do you have for a speedy trial? And understand unnecessary delay in that process. Let's see. Understand the difference between a prison and a jail I think you're good. I think you're good after that. Like I said, all this stuff was in your quizzes, so you're not going to see anything that you haven't seen before. Most of you have done really, really good on your quizzes, so you should be pretty good. You'll have a good amount of time. I think it's like an hour and a half or something to take this quiz. 200 questions. Don't stress out about it. You do only get one chance, so kind of keep that in mind. But you're going to do just fine. It's been great having you in this class. Make sure you notify me if you got any questions, or if you have any problems with your quiz. I hope you guys really enjoy your criminal justice careers, or for those of you that aren't going into criminal justice but just took this as an elective class, I hope you enjoyed it and expanded your mind on criminal justice. Thanks a lot. You have a great day.